So I'll just come out and say it. White conservatives love black conservatives. They love it when they can find the black person, far and few between, that are conservative. So they can point to that far and few between black conservative and say, look, we're not racist. Even black people agree with us. They drool over it. And it's sad that these two, I watched this video, the conservative twins or the Patriot twins. I thought they were the conservative twins. Same thing. These two, I've only seen this one video, but they're not clever, they're not witty, they're not funny. They don't have a lot to say except for just conservative talking points. And they literally are making their fame, so it seems, based off of the fact that they are black and conservative. They don't offer anything of value. There's no substance to anything that they say in this video. Can't speak for their other content, but this video was really bad. And I think it's important to go over things like this, because even though this channel is primarily dedicated to religion, and I'm going to keep it that way, let's face it, religion and sexuality of all types have been intertwined, have been married, have been coupled, and they probably always will be until people stop believing in the magic sky person. So anyway, let's get into this video. So this is Michigan new law, misgendering a felony, $10,000 fine. It's a very hard title. It's a difficult title to read, but Michigan new law, misgendering a felony, and $10,000 fine. So here's the difference between the left and the right. Regardless of where you fall on that spectrum, I think you know where you are. If you lean right, or if you're just a flat out Bible bumping conservative, or if you're kind of like a Democrat or a leftist. Here's the main difference. As a conservative, all you have to do is invent something and then complain about it. And as long as that something falls in line with a conservative value, they hate trans people or they hate gay people, as long as what you're talking about falls in line with that, you can say whatever you want. You can literally just make something up. You can flat out lie, as these two do. And the conservatives will just drool all over it, especially if it comes from a black person. Because like I said, they're like, hey, we can't be racist because here's two black people. Without further ado, let's get into this. Michigan new law. Sorry. Before I continue on, so the difference is that as a conservative, you can just make up a talking point. You can invent a problem and then complain about that problem, even if that problem doesn't exist. As long as it lines up with conservative values, they'll drool all over it. But as soon as I watched this video, I, as a leftist, of course, actually looked up the bill. And, well, I mean, as expected, of course, they're lying about this. This is not true. And we're going to go over the entire bill. It's not very long, but we'll go over the bill and we'll see if misgendering somebody as a felony accompanied with a $10,000 fine for misgendering somebody. We're going to see if that's true after we read the bill, but let's get into this video.
Michigan. Man, that is a liberal. I'm going to stop cursing. It's a horrible place. People are fleeing that state, going to Florida and Texas. A lot of people have been red pill. Well, I don't think a lot of people have been red pill. Just the conservatives in those areas, yep. They saw Scott Adams' video. Yep, we need to get out of here. Can't fix this. Going to Florida, Texas, Tennessee,
So they passed.
Mississippi, Arkansas,
They ain't going to
Montana.
There's not much opportunity in Mississippi.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Yeah, it is.
They go in a place like Texas and Florida. There's a lot more opportunity.
No, man, just want to get away, you know? Get your little cabin out in the woods, live off the land, get off the grid. You know, a lot of people want to do that. I've been thinking about doing that, getting off the grid, man. Go get me a couple generators, some firewood, and just
Man, shut up. Anyway,
So what was that whole interaction? What was that whole interaction that just took place right there? Um, I I'll let you decide that.
pull up this article, man. So, Michigan pronouns law declared an abomination by former judge.
wait a minute. They passed that?
Okay, so already it immediately the title of the video excluded. They instantly pull up a page that's entirely it's not just misleading. It's just flat out wrong because there's no such thing as a Michigan pronouns law. That does not exist. That's just a lie. What this bill does essentially is takes all of the protections that a protected class currently enjoys in Michigan. You can't discriminate based off of religion. So put it that way: the Christians in Michigan are currently protected under this law, but it just extends that law to trans people, and that's it. That's all it does. That's all this law does. It takes the protections that you have as a black person, gay person, Hispanic person, your race, your creed, ethnicity, all that stuff, and it just extends it one step further. It just includes trans people in it, and these conservatives freak out about it and say that it's a felony to misgender somebody. Of course, it's ridiculous, but we're only a minute in, so let's stop pausing.
Yeah.
You have to call somebody by the pronouns?
Yeah, if you
But wait a minute. When you use somebody's pronouns, Keith, they're not even in the picture. You're talking about, hey, where did he go? Where did she go? Hey, he come in. I mean, you don't use pronouns that way. When you're using pronouns, it's like
they're not even around.
you're not even around.
Yeah.
So you're going to enforce a law when somebody's not even around?
Yes, that's what the Michigan law states. That if you are in your basement and you're talking to your buddies around the pool table, and if you say, "Hey, did you see that guy on TV?" and it was like some trans person, the FBI is going to come and bust down your door and arrest you, slap you with a felony and a $10,000 fine. That's exactly what the Michigan law says.
So you
And I mean, the humor and wittiness just does not exist between these two people. Nothing he said was funny. Nothing was entertaining. It was just dumb babble. Kind of what I'm doing now. So let's keep going.
That's a good point.
that's
Hey, Kevin, that's a,
It's not a good point. It's a really bad point. It's not a good point at all. He just made up a lie. He invented a problem. This is what conservatives love doing. They love inventing problems and then complaining about them and making you think that it's a real problem and that somehow it's going to affect your children in some way. They just love inventing it to just fuel the transphobia that already is seething in conservatives. Anything that you say that agrees with that, of course they will. Okay, all right, let's go.
that's a damn. Hey, listen. That's a damn good point you made
I
there.
know it is, man. That's why I'm conservative.
So if somebody
I will agree with you. I don't know these two's names, but these two, I agree. That is why you're conservative, because you just made that point. I
let's say
agree.
let's say somebody's talking about one of them train.
Listen to them just make stuff. Let's just say that somebody does this. Let's just say that. How about you just take a few moments, read the bill, and see what it actually says, so you don't have to have these made up, invented scenarios.
And ease. Right? I just say, well, he went over there. What you say?
I'm calling the cops. You going to jail, buddy.
I think it's a $10,000 fine too.
A $10,000 fine.
Yeah.
Yes, if you say, "Hey, where did he go?" and that person identifies as wants the pronouns of she, her, or I guess whatever, they, them, any other pronoun besides the pronoun that would be assigned at birth along with their sex. If you use any other pronoun but that, than the ones that they prefer. Yes, somebody's going to call the cops, and the cop is going to come arrest you, and people are going to be up in arms about this. And then again, like, what did they say that was funny? This is so bad.
And then you go run and tell the person, hey, he was referring to you as a he.
Yeah.
He what? You, oh man. This is affecting.
What did he do? What's that?
This is affecting. This is
what?
This is what? Yes, exactly. Look at him just trying. The gears are turning. You can see the smoke coming out of his ears from the gears in his head that are desperately crying out to be greased up a little bit with knowledge and education. You could just see him. He's trying so hard to think of something clever, think of something funny, and then his partner over here, he's put him on the spot because I think maybe even he's seeing it like this. Do you actually have a line, or are you just doing that? The point is that these are okay. No. We're gonna keep going.
This is violence.
Look how happy he is about that. He's so happy that he came up with that line just now. This is violence. And he's just so happy. Like he's super proud of himself when it was really dumb.
That's what you say. This is violence. This is violence. He's threatening my life. But that's that
What was funny about this? Do they
attitude. That's that mindset.
See, that's the thing, man. When you elect people, and look, people's biases are taking control of their rational thinking, man. You got these people now, they're not even following the law or the Constitution. They making up as they go. These people are weird.
Yeah.
That's why I don't play that game, man. I just call you by name. Like, if the trainee is not there, I'm going to say, hey, where the trainee at? You know? Yeah, with a cross dresser. You know what I'm saying? I ain't playing that pronoun game. Where's the he, she at? You know what I'm saying?
No, see, that's you can't use that one.
You
They
can't?
get you on that. Call her he, she. That's
No, that's both pronouns.
What if it's they though?
I'm screwed then.
You go to jail.
I'm going to jail.
Let me read the article.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's just we're going to move past the fact that none of this is funny. This is real things that affect real people in the real world. Of course, they're lying. None of this is true, but the overall concept of transphobia is a scary one. None of this is funny. It's more of a serious topic than, of course, they're letting it on to be, but they're getting paid, I'm sure, a lot of money to be ignorant bigots. But okay, let's keep going.
I follow it, but I'm going to be condescending as crap. I'm going to patronize the hell out of you. Where they them at? They them ain't here? They them is not here.
They can't possibly find this that funny, right? I'm all for like free speech, and I don't get like bent out of shape when somebody makes, I mean, even a trans joke, whatever. I mean, but this just isn't funny. It's just not funny. I definitely tread the line on what would you call it? More like raunchy humor, bad humor. I'm all for it, but this is just not funny. I'm gonna call somebody they them, and then both of them burst into laughter. It's gotta be forced. Like they can't possibly find themselves this funny, right? We're moving past the funny thing. They're not funny. They're not clever. They're not witty. They're not smart. Let's move past that. We're getting to the arguments here.
Can't arrest me. That is stupid.
Hey, well,
You're forcing somebody to believe in somebody's radical friend's ideology, man.
yeah, and it's against the First Amendment. It's obvious.
You're forcing people's speech, man.
It's like y'all.
That's why I'm going to have fun with it.
Yeah, like y'all gonna make misusing somebody's pronouns against the law. Why don't you ban the N-word?
Okay, so you're gonna make misuse of somebody's pronouns against the law. It's not true. That's not what the bill says at all. But this is the lie that they have to tell. This is the fear mongering that they have to push because it sells. And these videos are difficult to keep interesting. I think it's important to cover it, but it's almost they they keep making kind of the same joke. They use different words, of course, but basically it's the same joke over and over and over again, and the same point that I'm making kind of addresses that. So you end up repeating yourself a lot, and that happens with a lot of apologetics. It happens with a lot of different things, but it does get. I do feel myself repeating myself. But yeah, let's keep going.
Hey, man, that's a good point, man.
That's what I'm talking
You know
about.
how many niggas we could send to jail if we ban that N-word? Holy
Okay, so again, I'm all for free speech. The N word doesn't bother, if of course if it's used as an absolute derogatory term. If you're directly calling somebody the N word, is a form of hate speech. Of course, that's disgusting, and you shouldn't do it. But just using it, I don't. I just, maybe it's a hot take, but I don't care. Like, the fact that he just said it makes no difference to me. Excuse me. But what was funny about that just now? I mean, this guy's bursting out into laughter. What on earth was funny about that?
these niggas be in jail.
You sound like a damn white supremacist.
Man, kill two birds with one stone, man.
I wholeheartedly believe that these two are pretty racist against black people. I don't think they like black people very much. I'm just throwing that out there. Again, this is the only experience that I have with these two, but the vibes I'm getting is they think, by and large, black people are pretty disgusting.
You send all them liberal niggas to jail.
I mean,
man.
people are literally making mud off, not mud, but money off that word. And it's like, I hate that argument. Oh, it's
Kind of like what you just did, or your brother. Kind of like what he just did.
a different word.
I assume they're brothers. Are they like identical twin? I don't know. Anyway,
You
doesn't
take
matter.
the A off, and I mean, you take the ER and put an A on. It's a different word. It has different meaning.
Yeah, they're brothers.
So why is it when you look at black movies, hey, nigga, what's up? Break yourself. Bam! Is he saying, like, good morning, how you doing to him?
Yeah, good
It's
morning.
derogatory.
You about to die is what it means.
Yeah.
It all matters the context you use. Hey, nigga, how it going? It's good morning, nigga. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, nigga. Something bad about to happen. It's
Yeah.
all about context. White man say nigga. Can't say it, man.
Even if it's in good context.
Even if
it,
I'm very, very certain that we just heard them talk about some using somebody's pronouns, making a law about that. They just said something about that's protected under the free speech, and here they are saying that white people can't use the N word at all. You know.
good context because it's double standard, man.
Yeah.
See, black people, man, they got more, I wouldn't say more rights.
You got preferential rights.
They get a lot of preferential treatment. Gay people, these people are gods now.
Yeah. Can't touch
You
that.
got to suck these people off. If you don't bow down and suck them off, oh, you're going to jail.
Now that is true. That is true. That's the first true thing that he said in this video. If you don't bow down and suck gay people off, then you go to jail. That is true. That is true.
It's crazy.
Hey, let me read this article.
They them. I mess up, make a mistake, and say he by accident. I'm going to jail. 10,000
Hey, just like if a white person uses the N word, right?
$1,000.
I think it has to be what's the word? It's gotta be
Gotta be malicious, huh?
that's the word.
Hey, where he go? Hey, where that he training at?
It's so bad. It's hard to listen to. This is cringe. This is so cringy on so many levels. First off, it's just not funny. And like none of this was funny. But my goodness, are they cracking up? They think they are the bee's knees. It's so bad. God, goodness gracious. Okay.
It's gotta be.
But they're not even there. Don't you, before you arrest somebody, they got to witness the crime?
Let me read the
That's
article,
a
man.
crazy, man. These people crazy, man.
It's almost like it's so silly because it's completely made up. It's almost like the reason that it sounds so dumb is because it is. What you're saying is dumb. but that's not what the bill addresses. I
Man. These people, they took church out of schools. They took, like, we've never lived in a theocracy. So we've always been a secular society, but it, had Christian undertones to it.
Values.
Had some values, some undertones.
yeah.
You can't force
Nothing's funny about that. I don't know what joke he just cracked. Why the dude on the right is just in tears over here, but
Christianity on people, but you can force
Gender ideology
you
on
can
people.
you can force all this glory hole action on people.
what glory hole action is being forced on anybody? I don't. I think he's just trying to be funny. I think he's just cracking a joke and just saying like words that he finds like that he should be bashful about, and he's like, "Look, I'm gonna say glory hole all out loud," and that's funny. Like when a okay, doesn't matter.
That glory hole ideology.
Oh,
man.
that glory hole.
Glory hole
all that glory
ideology.
hole talk.
It's so easy to make up a lie, and then use it as fear mongering against a protected class of people.
That glory hole madness is what it is, man.
Let's read the article, man.
You got an article to read.
Yeah, Michigan's recent bill making it a felony for people to harass.
A felony?
Yeah, a felony for people to harass or intimidate someone by misgendering them.
Ain't nobody harassing and misgendering people.
And misgendering them and using the wrong pronouns that spark
You know what? They
controversy.
charging us for misgendering. They
Okay, so it's very strange that they'll bring up this article about the bill, but they won't just bring up the bill. Why not just bring up the bill and not an article about the bill? Well, I'll tell you why, because they're lying, and if they brought up the bill, their lies would be exposed. I mean, let's just be real, that's exactly why.
misgendering themselves. How you gonna charge me misgendering when they misgendering themselves, man? Shouldn't they go to jail?
I mean, how much they laugh at their own jokes does make me laugh at their jokes, and they're just not funny. Um, and I know I keep saying that and I keep repeating it, but I mean, if I had to have one takeaway from this video, it would be about how absolutely stupid these two are. How dull their humor is. How they're okay. Let's
Hey, man,
let's keep
read
going.
this article, man.
Don't read the
it.
article, read the bill.
Some good death.
By using wrong pronouns has sparked controversy in the state, with former judge and television personality Joe Brown calling the measure an abomination. The new measure,
You know what it is? It's debaucherous.
yeah, the new measure, House Bill 4476. Y'all should call it House Bill 666.
No, call it House Bill Glory Hole.
Well, I'm glad they said that. You should call it House Bill 666, and I think that shows what I said in the beginning, that sexuality and religion is just tied into each other. This could have been a completely secular video, but we all know it isn't. We all know that the roots of bigotry and anti-LGBT anything rhetoric, it's all rooted in religion. It all stems from religion. As somebody, one of my subscribers, asshole64, as you said, there's no hate like Christian love. And I never heard that before, and it's still stuck with me. I really love that line because it's so true. And this is what it's coming from. This should be House Bill 666. It's all rooted in religion. So I think even as a religious channel, not a religious channel, but as a an anti-religious channel, a channel dealing with religion, such as mine, these topics are important to cover because this isn't explicitly religion, but the bigotry and the Christian love It all stems from religion. The hatred stems from religion. Let's keep going.
Is part of a package of legislation that would replace Michigan's existing Ethnic Intimidation Act.
So I think that's really important that they're reading this out. But of course, no conservative is going to see it this way. They're just going to listen to what these two are babbling on about, and then they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, this is to protect if somebody identifies as female and you say he, you're going to go to jail and be shot in the back of the head." But note what it says here. It would replace Michigan's existing Ethnic Intimidation Act. This bill already exists. This isn't something new. They're just expanding it to cover trans people, not to cover pronouns, not to cover misgendering somebody, not to cover if somebody identifies as female and you say, "Hey, what's he?" Or if somebody identifies as a woman and they say, what's he up to?" And they're like, "Hey, I use she her pronouns," and they're like, "Okay, he him." It doesn't cover any of that, and we'll go over it. But they're just mad that trans people are being protected. That's what it really comes down to.
It would make it a hate crime to cause someone to feel terrorized or frightened or threatened with words. So
Hey, man, that's crazy.
You can terrorize, frighten, and threaten somebody when you use the wrong pronouns.
Yeah, man.
But you're not really using the wrong pronouns. It's based on what they identify as.
So you basically being charged as a terrorist for telling somebody the truth.
Yes, that is what the bill says. You know how you can tell that these two are absolutely lying and they know it? Is because if this bill said, if you misgender somebody, you will be charged with domestic terrorism, even I would not be on board with that. And these two would be losing their minds if the bill actually said that. But the reason that they can laugh it off and make jokes about it is because they know it doesn't say that. If it said that you'd be if somebody identified as she her and you said he him and you got charged with domestic terrorism, that's scary. And these two would not be reacting the way they are. They would not be reacting the way they are. Period. But they're lying, so they can make jokes about it.
Man, I love this country. So much freedom.
Man,
I'm telling you, man. That's why people fleeing Michigan, man. That's a little Canada up there.
you know what? You know what Michigan's going to turn into? Like, you see what happened in Detroit? Y'all going to turn their whole state in Detroit. Y'all going to be left with niggas that don't even pay taxes. You ain't going to even have the income to pay your
Well, the Patriot twins are in support of Texas. They could be. They could be. I don't know. Like I said, this is the only engagement I've had with these two. But generally speaking, conservatives aren't the biggest on taxes. But hey, these people are saying pay your taxes. I like that. Very leftist of them.
state legislature.
Yeah, man.
People are running from that state.
Yeah, California's going to go bankrupt eventually. It's going to fall. California is falling. Michigan's going to fall too, man. New York's going to fall. It's just those.
It's interesting that all of these more liberal states are the ones that are going to fall. But in virtually every metric available, Southern conservative states do the worst. On just look it up. Just look it up. Just Google it right now. I think they are lowest in like education, teen pregnancy. They're some of the highest in religion. Even crime. Like they do terrible on every metric. But of course, he's just listing off more left-leaning states that are somehow gonna fall for some reason.
Policies, man, it's
Not
just
sustainable.
it's not sustainable.
It's like the border. It's not sustainable.
Socialism, whatever
What's not sustainable?
you push it anywhere, it's not sustainable.
What do you say? What do you
Democrats.
say?
Wow,
Well-
I'd call somebody you push it anywhere, it's not sustainable. New York's gonna fall. It's just those policies, man. It's
It's not
just
sustainable.
it's not sustainable. Man.
Like the
Which policies are not sustainable? I would love. Of course, they won't. They won't get into it. Let's go.
board. It's not sustainable.
Socialism, whatever you push it anywhere, it's not sustainable.
Socialism, whatever you push it anyways, is not. Is that what he said? Okay.
Man, Democrats.
Wow,
Well-
I call a man a boy.
You know how, you know how you can tell that these two are stupid is because they just use socialist and Democrat interchangeably.
I go to jail.
Yeah, well, look at it. There's a silver lining to every cloud. You know what
Yeah.
the silver lining is?
What?
Because
Why would you go to jail if you called a man or boy he? I don't understand, but why would you go to jail for that? Even under, okay, let's
the
go.
Democrats, we got a job.
And that's what it comes down to. Here, in the end of the video, he openly admits it. As long as there are Democrats, then black conservatives will fare pretty well, as long as they do the talking points and they obey and they fall in line. Yeah, they will have a job. Anyway, so this whole video, I have accused them of being liars. I've accused them of making stuff up. So now let's figure out what the bill actually says to see if I am correct in saying that all this bill does is simply extends protections of the current protected classes to trans people. These two would enjoy the same protections as trans people. That's what it really comes down to. And of course, as conservatives, they hate that. It makes their blood boil. They're seething with rage because trans people can't be discriminated against, because that's what they love doing. And all right, so I got the bill pulled up here. HB 4474, June 20th, 2023. We're going to go through it. We're going to go through it kind of line by line. All right. A bill amended to 1931 PA 322 entitled the Michigan Penal Code by amending. Okay, we won't read that. Okay, a person is guilty of a hate crime, and it looks like they struck out a lot of stuff here. So a person is guilty of a hate crime if that person maliciously and intentionally does any of the following. But so you can see what they've stricken out: ethnic intimidation, and with specific intent to intimidate, harass other people because of a person's race, color, religion, gender, or national origin, does any of the following. So they struck that out. Okay, a person is guilty of a hate crime if that person maliciously and intentionally does any of the following to an individual based in whole or in part of an actual or perceived characteristic that the individual listed under subsection 2, regardless of the existence of any other motivating factors. A, use of force or violence. As I'm reading this, tell me which part you disagree with. Leave it in the comments below. If you've made it this far in the video, tell me which part of this you disagree with. But you know what? Before we get into it, let's do this. So let's see how many times the word pronoun appears in this bill. Because if you're going to make it against the law, if you're going to make it a felony to use the wrong pronouns, I'm assuming the word pronoun is in here somewhere, right? It turns out that it's not. 0 of 0. To show that this is working, I'll put uses. It instantly highlights in 2 out of 4 uses, okay? So if you're going to make it a felony or a $10,000 fine or both for misgendering somebody, the word misgendering must appear somewhere in this bill, right? Misgendering. No, that doesn't appear in this bill anywhere either. So what are they talking about when they say that it's the pronoun law, Michigan's new pronoun law, Michigan's new law that'll make it a felony to misgender somebody when the bill doesn't even have those words in here? let's keep going with this though. I think it's important to just kind of go through and read it. Attention to the following: use of force or violence on another individual causes bodily injury to another individual, intimidates another individual, damages, destroys, or defaces any real, personal, digital, or online property of another individual without the consent of that individual, threatens by word or act to do any of the actions described under subdivisions A to D. And I think subdivisions A to D. So if you threaten any of these things, that falls under this law. The actual or perceived characteristics of another individual referenced under section 1 include all of the following: race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression. This is what they're seething about. Just look at all the protected classes, the protections that are in this bill. White people, black people, all people are protected under this. All it does is extend it to gender identity and expression, and that's what they hate. We'll skip that. Associations or affiliations with the individual or group of individuals in whole or in part based on the characteristics described under sections A to I. That's A to I. This was stricken. Except as provided in subsection 4, a person who violates subsection 1 is guilty of a felony, punishable by imprisonment for not more than 2 years or by a fine of not more than $5,000 or both. So maybe, that video was only up 4 days ago. Oh, okay, here's 10,000. If any of the following conditions apply, a person who violates subsection 1 is guilty of a felony, punishable by imprisonment for not more than 5 years or by a fine of not more than $10,000 or both. So which sections do you get a $5,000 fine for? A person who violates subsection 1 is guilty of a felony, punishable for $5,000. Oh, okay. So if you use force or violence, cause bodily injury, intimidate another individual, or damage or destroy, if you do any of these things, subsection A to D, threatened by word or act to do any of the following. If you do any of these things, cause bodily injury, intimidate, damage, threaten by word or act to do any of the actions described under subdivision A to D, this will be 2 years in jail, no more than 2 years in jail, and a $5,000 fine. However, if these conditions are added to it, it can get increased to a $10,000 fine. And I think this is going to be an important distinction to make. So if the violation results in bodily injury, the person has one or more prior convictions for violating subsection 1, a victim of the violation is less than 18, and the offender is more than 18 years old, the person commits the violation of section 1 in concert with one or more individuals. The person is in possession of a firearm during the commission. The prosecuting attorney intends to seek an enhanced sentence based upon the defendant having one or more of the prior convictions. So what we just went through. The prosecuting attorney shall include the complaint and the information and statement listed in the existence. A copy of the judgment or conviction, a transcript, plea sentencing, information, the defendant's statements. Okay, in lieu. So basically, if you do any of the, so there's another big fat lie. That the Patriot twins said. And this is really dry. So we won't go over this because reading bills is actually a difficult read because you got to go back to subsections and all this. But I think you get the point that they're just lying, because even if it were true that using somebody's pronouns incorrectly lands you a felony and the $10,000 in jail, which it's not, of course, as we just read. But that's if you get the $10,000 fine if these additional conditions apply. A copy. So this is just saying 28 and 29 are just saying what the prosecuting attorney will have to provide to show that you're in violation of these subsections. The court may, if the defendant consents, impose an alternative sentence described under the section. If determining the suitability of the alternative sentence described under the section, the court shall consider the criminal history of the offender, impact. Okay, just saying that the court does have some discretion on whether you should actually get the full $10,000 fine and the full prison term. The court does have some wiggle room there. It's not like mandatory minimum sentences. The court may, if the defendant consents, reduce the penalty imposed under subject for not more than 20%. Okay. Regardless of the existence or outcome of any criminal prosecution, an individual who suffers the bodily injury or damage to the individual's property as a result of a hate crime may bring civil cause of action against the person who commits the offense. Okay, so if you're damaged or your property is damaged, you can still make a civil suit against it and not a criminal suit. These are all good things. A plaintiff who prevails in civil action brought this section may recover both of the following damages. Okay, so this is also good. So if the court says, yeah, like this dude in civil court, if you can prove that the person who commits the offense injection actual damages, including damages of emotional distress, so if you can prove that there was emotional distress, then you're awarded. Dang, they went from 2,000 to 25,000, whichever is greater. Oh, 3 times the actual damage. Okay. Reasonable attorney, so you can get paid for. This is all very generic language. Gender identity or expression means having or being perceived as having a gender-related self-identity expression, whether or not associated with an individual's assigned sex. Intimidate. Now, it's perfect that they actually put what they mean by intimidate. So, if somebody identifies as a woman and prefers she, her pronouns, and their biological sex is male, if they are a trans woman, and somebody says, what did he say? And the trans person hears it. Intimidate means a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable individual. Now, this is court lingo, a reasonable person, a reasonable individual, a reasonable person. That means how would most people feel about this? What would be the general consensus? To feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, and that actually causes the victim to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened. Intimidate does not include constitutionally protected activity or conduct that serves a legitimate purpose. If you read into this bill that calling a trans woman he, or a trans man her, if you read into this bill that will land you a felony and a up to 10, well, just calling them that would not, because you have to actually do the damage. So a $5,000 fine and up to 2 years in jail. If you read that into this bill, check yourself. You're looking for things to be mad about. You want to be upset about something dealing with trans people. So you're grasping onto anything. You're saying, well, hey, if you harass, frighten, threaten, terrorize a trans person, you might be punished for it. Well, yeah, probably you're going to. Same thing if you did it with a Jewish person or a black person or a white person or a Christian or a Muslim. If you do it to anybody, this isn't a special rule for trans people. This includes all people. All people have these protections, and simply using the wrong pronoun isn't going to land you in any type of trouble in any way, shape, or form. So stop with the fear mongering. Just reflect upon yourself and see if this is because you're just kind of a transphobe and you think trans people are gross, or if you have a legitimate cause for concern here because your constitutionally protected rights are being infringed. Just do some inner working. That's all. All right. To cap it off, no, the Michigan bill does not say in any way, shape, or form that you're gonna go to prison and be slapped with fines if you misgender somebody. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that at all. And the Patriot twins are kind of dull, dumb, very, very basic conservatives. And my goodness, are they terribly not funny.